Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about Socrates today. Socrates. He's an interesting philosopher, whatever. I'm not an expert on him, but I was doing a little bit of research on the guy just for some reason because some of his ideas were pretty interesting. And I wrote down three quotes, three ideas, three thoughts from Socrates. We can go through them. The first one is just a simple question that Socrates liked to ponder. What is virtue? A lot of us have pondered that. What is virtue? I mean, it's just doing the right thing, right? Virtue is a high standard of moral behavior. That takes a lot of work. You got to recognize what moral behavior is. You got to know what good is. And then you got to strive towards it. You got to actively make choices that put you going towards that. That can be hard. Because the opposite of virtue is vice. Vice is always tempting us. We may be tempted by pleasure when we know we have responsibilities that may include uncomfortable suffering. I'd rather go and eat pizza and lounge around rather than walk through the rain and the cold to go pick up my kid. But you do what you got to do. Knowing that you could just sit there, but you do it anyways. Because you know what the right thing is, you know what good is, you know what you're supposed to do, what responsibilities are. That makes you virtuous. We have these kinds of choices all the time. I think the more that you practice being virtuous, the better at it you get. And Jordan Peterson talks about virtue in the same way, kind of, where in order to understand, in order to not be taken under by the cruelty of the world, you have to understand cruelty. You know, you have to be a monster, but keep that monster tamed. You have to have a sword, but keep your sword sheathed. Know how to use it. Be a killer, but keep that weapon in its place. Be able to use restraint. I mean, Jordan Peterson talks about it in such a great way because he also talks about that, you know, if you're incapable of understanding cruelty, you're just naive. If you're incapable of committing an act of violence and restraining yourself, if you're not capable of doing it in the first place, you don't even have the ability. You're not virtuous. You're just a wimp. I mean, you could go and rob somebody. You're capable of it. The reason why you don't do it is because it's wrong. That's virtue. Somebody who's just scared to go rob somebody because it's illegal, it's not virtuous. They're just a pussy. They're just scared. So that's the first one. What is virtue? Tell me what you guys think. The second one is, it is worse to do injustice than to suffer it. It is worse to do injustice than to suffer it. So, when we commit an injustice, that hurts our soul of who we are, our character. It's not as tangible, but it goes deeper. When we suffer an injustice, it's really only the tangible thing that gets hurt. Say, for example, if we get robbed, you're just losing a possession. You get your arm broken in that robbery, and a black eye. These are just surface wounds. It's just your body. It'll heal. But the act of doing an injustice will stay with you forever. Some people argue for eternity. You don't heal from that. There's no insurance for that. So it's worse to do injustice than to suffer it. Tell me what you think if there's more. These are ideas from Socrates. The next one is the last one. I just wanted to go through 3. Socrates believed your soul is who you really are. That's the real you. People all have asked this question for ages. Who's the real me? Your soul is the real you. Now, Socrates was around before Christianity. So when he talked about soul, he's not really using it in a biblical Christian sense. But it's kind of a similar kind of thing. You know, the way I look at it is that your soul, that real you, that's the inner you that when all the outside world is quieted down, when you get past all that mind chatter, you have maybe several layers of it, of just various voices of anxiety and, fear and all kinds of bullshit. You may just be repeating stuff in your head that you heard, songs and quotes from TV shows. And just when you get past all that bullshit, there's this other voice that may be quiet. You get to learn to listen to it more. It gets louder, but that's that real you down there. Some people call it intuition. You have that gut feeling. That gut feeling turns into a very clear voice. You learn to listen to it more. It becomes pretty powerful. It can guide you. You can find your kind of who you really are, your soul. You can find it in creativity. That's an excellent way because you get lost in an activity. With this kind of expansive mind, you may be concentrating on one thing, but the creativity, it's like it's just coming from somewhere. The ideas and you get into this body-mind movement. Painters know this. Artists of all kinds of variety know this. Writers. Even athletes like Michael Jordan. I mean, he was on a level where it was almost like an art form, and he got to this kind of flow state where his mind and body were acting together. And I mean, this guy is just in this whole nother zone in the moment. That's where you find the real you. That's who you really are. Some people like to go out into nature. That's really just to quiet all the outside elements, and that's a great way to do it. I mean, I encourage that. If you can move from the city, leave the city. Don't live in a cubicle in an urban jungle. I did that forever. I moved to bumfuck Florida from downtown LA. Get out of this city. At least take vacations on the weekend if you can. But explore creativity. The more that you get into that flow state of mind, the zone, as I like to call it, the more you can find the real you and spend more time with the real you. And that's as Socrates called it, your soul is who you really are. Be who you really are. That's your true individuality right there. Not the collection of choices you have with preconditioned fucking offerings from corporations. It's funny to see individuality expressed through consumerism when you go to any college campus and it's a sea of backpacks and baseball caps and hoodies. And sure, there may be different logos on each, but that's not really individuality. Individuality is deeper. These are just 3 ideas from Socrates. Tell me what you think. Thanks for watching.